They thought they were picking on just another quaint cafe in Maple Grove when they saw a petite woman in her 40s meticulously arranging pastries in her display case, a few regulars quietly sipping their morning coffee. The Red Serpents motorcycle club figured it would be an easy protection racket to establish their presence in town. What they didn't realize was that Olivia Mitchell wasn't just any cafe owner. She was a retired Special Forces commander who'd spent 15 years conducting high-stakes operations in the world's deadliest conflict zones. Her gentle smile and homemade scones masked tactical instincts that had kept her teams alive through situations most people couldn't imagine. Now, watching 3 Red Serpents members circle her cafe that crisp autumn morning, Olivia recognized the telltale signs of territorial marking she'd seen countless times in war-torn regions. Their leather cuts displayed the gang's emblem, a crimson snake coiled around a dagger. She could have looked away, could have paid their protection fee like the other small businesses on Maple Street. Instead, she chose to stand her ground. A decision that would transform her cozy cafe into the front line of a war against one of the region's most ruthless motorcycle gangs. Olivia's hands stayed steady as she drizzled caramel over a latte, her movements precise and deliberate, but her trained eyes tracked every detail through the cafe's discreet security feeds. The bikers' formation, their body language, the subtle ways they assessed entry points and surveillance. Professional work, suggesting military or law enforcement. Backgrounds, these weren't just street thugs. "Morning, Ms. Mitchell," Emma Chen called out, her college-aged barista arriving for her morning shift. The girl's timing couldn't have been worse, walking straight into brewing trouble. "Emma, cafes. Closed today? Take a study day." Olivia kept her voice calm, casual. The young barista's expression shifted from confusion to worry. "But the morning rush will survive without us. Go on, use the back door. Text when you're home safe." As Emma slipped away. Through the kitchen, the first biker dismounted, his boots hitting the pavement with practiced precision. Through the cafe's windows, Olivia noted his build, his movement patterns, the way he carried himself. The gang's enforcer, Marcus the Butcher Kane. According to the intel she'd been quietly gathering since the Red Serpents first appeared in Maple Grove 3 months ago. The bell above the door chimed as Kane entered, flanked by 2 others, Ghost and Razor, based on their cuts. The morning regulars fell silent, their newspapers and laptops forgotten as tension filled the air. "Cozy place you've got here," Kane called out, his voice carrying that particular tone of false friendliness Olivia remembered from countless negotiations in combat zones. "Real. Quaint." Olivia continued wiping down her espresso machine, each movement deliberate and controlled. "Can I get you gentlemen something? Our autumn spice blend is quite popular." The bikers spread out, taking positions that would have been tactical if Olivia hadn't already mapped every angle of her cafe's interior. Ghost by the main entrance, Razor covering the hallway to the kitchen. Professional work, but predictable. "Actually," Kane smiled, running a leather-gloved hand along the pristine counter, "we're here to help you. See, Maple Grove is changing, growing. Small business owners need protection these days, insurance against unfortunate accidents." Olivia met Kane's gaze steadily, reading volumes in his micro-expressions. "I have insurance, several policies. Not the kind you need." Kane's smile hardened. "Red Serpents Motorcycle Club. We provide specialized coverage, comprehensive, for a reasonable monthly contribution." Through her security feed, Olivia noticed more motorcycles arriving, parking strategically around her property, 8 total now. They were taking this seriously. The remaining customers sat frozen, watching the scene unfold with barely concealed fear. "And if I'm not interested in your coverage?" Olivia's voice remained neutral, but carried the kind of quiet authority that made Kane's enforcers shift uneasily. Kane's eyes went cold. Times are dangerous. Cafes get vandalized, equipment gets damaged, customers have accidents. Smart business owners understand the value of protection. Olivia set down her cleaning cloth, the sound echoing in the sudden quiet. 15 years of Special Forces operations had taught her to read situations, to spot the moments when violence hung by a thread. This was one of those moments. Let me be clear. Olivia's voice remained neutral, but carried the kind of authority that made Kane's enforcers tense up. My cafe isn't interested. Neither are the other businesses you've been threatening. Maple Grove isn't your territory. Kane's hand drifted toward his jacket. Wrong answer, sweetheart. See, we're trying to be professional here, civilized, but some folks need a more direct demonstration of why our protection matters. That a threat? That's business advice. Kane's smile turned predatory. Think it over. We'll be back tonight. For your answer, make the smart choice. Hate to see anything happen to this nice place, or that pretty young girl who works for you. Olivia's expression didn't change, but something shifted in her eyes. Kane caught it, a flicker of uncertainty crossing his face. Touch my barista, Olivia said quietly, and you'll learn things about me you really don't want to know. Kane laughed, but there was an edge to it. Tough girl, huh? Remember, tonight, don't make this harder than it needs to be. As the bikers roared away, Olivia was already moving. She secured the cafe's front door and went to her office, pulling out a small notebook from a hidden compartment in her antique desk. Inside were careful notes about the Red Serpents' activities, protection rackets, drug running, patterns of intimidation. She'd been watching them for weeks, gathering intel out of old habit. Her phone buzzed, a text from Detective Maya Wong. Saw Red Serpents at your cafe. Need to talk. Olivia typed back, tonight after hours. Bring what you have on them. Another. Buzz, this time from her brother James. Everything okay? Heard motorcycles. Fine, late night at the cafe. Don't wait up. Olivia walked through her cafe, mentally cataloguing equipment that could be moved, supplies that could be hidden. The smart play was to pay their protection money, look the other way like everyone else. But Olivia hadn't spent 15 years conducting Special Forces operations to watch thugs devour a small town. Her security cameras showed Red Serpents members watching the cafe from various positions around the neighborhood. They were doing surveillance, gathering intel for tonight. Professional work, but they'd made a crucial mistake. They thought they were dealing with a simple cafe owner, someone they could intimidate with threats and demonstrations of force. Instead, they'd given a former Special Forces commander exactly what she needed, probable cause to start dismantling their operation. Olivia smiled slightly as she began her preparations. By threatening her cafe, her barista, they'd made it personal. By tonight, the Red Serpents would learn a hard lesson about judging a business owner by her cover, and Maple Grove would discover that sometimes the most dangerous people are the ones who appear the most ordinary. Her phone buzzed one more time, a message from an unknown number. Last chance. Smart cafe owners know when to look the other way. Olivia deleted the message without responding. In Afghanistan, they'd called her the Shadow, the Special Forces commander who could dismantle entire insurgent networks without leaving a trace. Time to show the Red Serpents why, through her. Security feeds. She watched Ghost and Razor establishing observation points across the street. Their positions were tactical, their rotations precise. They'd clearly had training. But training meant patterns, and patterns could be predicted. More importantly, they could be used. Olivia opened a hidden panel behind the cafe's vintage coffee roaster, revealing a cache of tactical gear. Her fingers brushed over familiar equipment, muscle memory from countless operations stirring. She wasn't just going to protect her cafe, she was going to use it to expose something bigger. The Red Serpents had chosen her cafe because they thought it was vulnerable. Instead, they'd given her the perfect opportunity to unravel their entire operation. The peaceful ambience of freshly ground coffee and warm pastries was about to become the staging ground for a very different kind of service. Detective Maya Wong arrived at Olivia's cafe just after sunset, her unmarked car pulling around back, to avoid the Red Serpents surveillance. Through her security cameras, Olivia had counted 6 different members watching her property throughout the day, their rotations suggesting military-style training. "You've got a problem," Maya said without preamble, spreading photos across Olivia's marble counter. They showed Red Serpents members at different locations around Maple Grove, outside businesses, monitoring traffic patterns, meeting with figures in expensive suits. "Town's got a problem. They've been here 3 months officially," Olivia corrected, studying the images. "Started small, just passing through, they said. Then they bought that old biker bar on Pine Street. Now they're offering protection to every business within 10 blocks. Olivia pointed to one photo showing Kane meeting someone in a police uniform. "Your department?" Maya's jaw tightened. "Officer James Reed. Internal Affairs has been watching him, but nothing solid yet. Red Serpents are careful. They learn from their mistakes." "Not careful enough." Olivia pulled out her notebook, showing Maya her own surveillance notes. "They're using the bar as a front. Late-night deliveries, heavy security, chemical supplies that have nothing to do with running a bar." "You think they're manufacturing?" "No, distribution hub. They're expanding territory, setting up infrastructure. The protection racket isn't about money. It's about controlling distribution routes." Maya studied Olivia's notes. "How do you know all this?" 15 years Special Forces took down operations like this from Kandahar to Kiev. Same patterns, different faces. Olivia moved to a vintage coffee tin, entering a code into a hidden panel beneath. The back swung open, revealing carefully organized tactical gear. "That's why I'm not paying them. That's why they're coming back tonight." Maya's eyes widened at the equipment. "Olivia, if they're coming to send a message, they're coming to make an example, create fear. Standard tactics." Olivia began checking gear with practiced efficiency. "But they don't know what I know." "Which is?" "Red Serpents have a reputation in 3 states. Never been caught, never left witnesses. That means they're professionals. Ex-military, probably. Kane was Rangers before his discharge." "How is that helpful?" Olivia smiled slightly. "Professionals follow patterns. Patterns can be predicted. More importantly, they can be used." A noise from outside, motorcycles approaching. Maya checked her phone. Multiple reports of Red Serpents members converging on this area, at least 20 bikes. "Right on schedule." "Olivia," Maya began, "you should go. Plausible deniability. If they're coming in force, they're not here to kill me. They're here to make a statement, which means they'll bring an audience. Other business owners they're pressuring." Olivia adjusted her cafe's lighting. "This isn't just about my cafe anymore." Maya headed for the back door, then paused. "Be careful, these guys, they're not just thugs." "I know, that's what makes this interesting." After Maya left, Olivia made final preparations. She'd spent the day modifying her cafe, adding surprises that would only be apparent to someone with her training. The security cameras showed Kane arriving with his main force, 15 bikes plus 3 vans. They were bringing tools for vandalism. Olivia's phone buzzed. A message from Kane. Last chance to make the smart play. Another buzz, this time from her brother James at the hospital. Police scanner reporting suspicious activity near the cafe. Please be safe. And a third from Emma. "Ms. Mitchell, Red Serpents members are watching my house. My mom wants to know if we should call the police." Olivia responded to Emma first. "Stay inside, you're not their target." Then to James, "Everything under control, trust me." She didn't respond to Kane. The first rock crashed through her front window at exactly 10 p.m., right on schedule. Professional crews liked round numbers, liked organization. Through the cameras, Olivia watched Red Serpents members dragging local business owners from their cars, forced witnesses to what happened to those who refused protection. "Bring them around front," Kane ordered, his voice carrying in the night air. "Make sure they have a good view." Olivia stood in the shadows of her cafe, watching through the broken window as Kane approached with Ghost and Razor flanking him. "Could have done this the easy way," Kane called out. "Could have been reasonable. Now you have to be an example." Olivia's voice carried clearly. "Only example being set tonight is what happens when you target the wrong cafe." Kane laughed. "Big!" Words from a woman about to lose everything. He nodded to his enforcers. "Ghost, Razor, teach our cafe owner, Friend, about the Red Serpents version of customer service." The two enforcers approached, carrying metal pipes, while behind them more Red Serpents members began smashing windows and spray-painting their insignia on the walls. The forced witnesses watched in terrified silence. That's when Olivia triggered. Her first surprise. The cafe's ambient lighting exploded to full power, momentarily blinding everyone outside. Simultaneously, targeted EMPs, courtesy of her Special Forces connections, disabled every vehicle within 50 feet. In the confusion, Olivia moved. 15 years of combat operations took over. Ghost and Razor were professionals, but they'd never faced someone like her. The fight was brief, efficient. Both enforcers were down before they realized what was happening. "Inside!" Kane shouted. But Olivia had already disappeared into the shadows of her cafe. Red Serpents members charged in, finding themselves in a maze of overturned tables and equipment arranged to Olivia's advantage. The lights went out. In the darkness, they heard Olivia's voice. "You chose this cafe because you thought it was an easy target. Because you think violence and fear make you powerful. Time to learn why you're wrong." What followed would be whispered about in Maple Grove for years to come. The cafe became a haunted house of professional-grade counterattacks. Every shadow concealed a trap, every corner a surprise. Olivia moved like a ghost, using her intimate knowledge of the space to devastating effect. Within minutes, half of Kane's crew was down, not dead or seriously injured, but efficiently disabled. Drake, to his credit, recognized the situation was out of control. "Fall back! Everyone out!" But Olivia wasn't finished. As the Red Serpents retreated, they found their bikes wouldn't start. The vans were locked down, and police sirens were approaching. Not the local cops they'd paid off, but state police responding to anonymous tips about criminal activity. "This isn't over," Kane shouted into the darkness. Olivia's voice came from everywhere and nowhere. "You're right. This is just the beginning. You wanted to make an example of my cafe. Congratulations. Now everyone knows what happens when you target the wrong business." As Red Serpents MC fled on foot, leaving disabled vehicles and injured members behind, the gathered business owners watched in stunned silence. Olivia emerged from her cafe, calmly surveying the damage. Her phone buzzed. A text from Maya. "State police have detained 12 Red Serpents members, but Kane got away." Olivia smiled slightly. She expected that. Kane was a professional after all, but now the Red Serpents had a choice to make: cut their losses and leave Maple Grove, or escalate against someone who clearly wasn't the simple cafe owner they'd thought. Looking at her vandalized cafe, Olivia already knew which choice they'd make, and she was counting on it. Morning light revealed the full extent of the Red Serpents' attempted intimidation. Olivia's cafe bore their gang tags in red spray paint, windows shattered, but the real message was in what they'd left behind. Their disabled vehicles were now evidence in state police custody. Emma arrived early, her eyes wide at the damage. "Miss Mitchell, I saw the videos online. People recorded everything on their phones last night. Go home, Emma. Shop's closed today." "No. Way, I want to help. My mom says what you did, standing up to them. People are talking about it all over town." Olivia studied her young barista. The girl had guts, but that could get her killed. Emma, they were watching your house last night. If you hadn't warned us, Emma interrupted. I want to learn. Not just about coffee. Before Olivia could respond, her phone buzzed. Maya, need you at the station. We found something in those bikes. Fine, Olivia told Emma, but you stay in the cafe, work on inventory. No going outside, no talking to anyone about last night. Crystal clear, boss. At the police station, Maya led Olivia to the impound lot. State police technicians swarmed over the abandoned Red Serpents vehicles, methodically documenting everything. Look at this. Maya pointed to a hidden compartment in one of the bikes. Custom-built, professionally installed. We found them in all the bikes. Olivia examined the compartment. High-grade craftsmanship, pressure-sealed, climate-controlled, perfect for running drugs. But here's the weird part, Maya continued. Residue tests came back negative. No narcotics. Because they're not carrying drugs, Olivia realized. They're carrying something else. Check for chemical traces, industrial solvents, pharmaceutical precursors. Maya's eyes widened. You think they're moving raw materials? Makes sense. Smaller quantities, easier to hide. Build up a stockpile, then manufacture locally. Olivia studied the bike's modifications. These weren't done at their bar, too professional. We tracked the work to a custom garage in Nevada. Same state where 3 other towns reported Red Serpents protection rackets last month. They're establishing a supply line, Olivia concluded. Maple Grove is just one point in a larger network. The protection racket isn't about money, it's about controlling distribution routes. A commotion at the station's entrance interrupted them. Officer James Reed stormed in, making straight for Maya. This is my jurisdiction, Reed snapped. State. Police have no authority. They do when it involves a multi-state criminal enterprise, Maya countered. Or did Red Serpents not tell you that part when they bought you? Reed's face darkened. Watch your accusations, detective. Or what? Olivia stepped forward. You'll report her to your real bosses. Reed turned, finally noticing Olivia. The cafe owner. You're causing a lot of problems for people who don't like problems. Send them my bill. I specialize in fixing problems. Reed moved closer, lowering his voice. You have no idea what's really happening here. Walk away for your own good. Like you did? Olivia matched his tone. How much did it take, Reed? What's the going rate for a cop's conscience these days? Reed's hand twitched toward his weapon, but Maya stepped between them. That's enough, Officer Reed. You're interfering with an active investigation. Leave, now. After Reed stormed out, Maya turned to Olivia. He'll warn them. Count on it. How long to process the evidence from the bikes? At least 48 hours. Why? Because we don't have 48 hours. Red Serpents are going to move everything they can't afford to lose. Tonight. Olivia's phone buzzed. James. 3 overdose cases just came in. Something new. Doctors haven't seen anything like it. Another message followed immediately. Unknown number. You cost us some valuable property, cafe owner. Hope your insurance covers fire damage. Olivia showed Maya the messages. They're accelerating their timeline. The protection racket, the supply runs. It was all groundwork for something bigger. I'll put officers on your cafe, Maya offered. No, and they'll be watching for that. Olivia allowed herself a small smile. Besides, I'm counting on them trying something. Back at her cafe, Olivia found Emma exactly where she'd left her, working on inventory. But something was wrong. The girl's hands were shaking. They came by, Emma said quietly. While you were gone, Kane himself. Olivia's expression hardened. What did he say? That I should find a new job. Said working here could be hazardous. And to my health. Emma swallowed hard. He knew things, Ms. Mitchell, about my family, my little sister's school schedule. Olivia placed a steady hand on Emma's shoulder. Listen carefully. Go home. Pack bags for your family. Tell your mum to take that vacation she's been talking about. Don't tell anyone where you're going. But trust me. After Emma left, Olivia began preparing her cafe again. Not like last night. That had been about sending a message. Tonight would be different. Tonight would be about ending things. Her phone buzzed. Maya. Reed just left the police station. Took personal files with him. Then James. 2 more overdose cases. Hospitals overwhelmed. Something's happening. Finally, Kane. Should have paid for protection. Now you get to watch everything burn. Olivia moved through her cafe, setting up equipment that had nothing to do with brewing coffee. In Afghanistan, they'd called her the Shadow, because she could dismantle criminal networks without leaving a trace. The Red Serpents were about to learn why. Through her security cameras, Olivia watched Red Serpents members taking up positions around her cafe. More than last night, better armed. No forced witnesses this time. They thought they were coming to destroy one woman's business. Instead, they were walking into a trap carefully designed by someone who'd spent 15 years taking down operations exactly like theirs. Olivia's phone buzzed. Maya. In position. Are you sure about this? Olivia typed back. Tonight we find out what Red Serpents are really doing in Maple Grove. Then she turned off the lights and waited. In the darkness of her cafe, ready to spring a trap that would change Maple Grove forever, Olivia watched through her security feeds as Red Serpents encircled her cafe. Unlike last night's shock and awe tactics, they moved with silent precision. Kane had brought his elite crew, ex-military by their movements, each one armed with more than just vandalism tools. Police scanners quiet. Maya's voice whispered through Olivia's earpiece. Reed's keeping local units away. State police mysteriously redirected to a drug bust 2 counties over. Olivia checked her watch. 11:15 p.m., James. Status at the hospital. 7 overdoses now. Lab results are strange. These aren't normal street drugs. The chemical structure is engineered. Through the cameras, Olivia watched Ghost and Razor coordinating. Teams around the cafe's perimeter. Professional work. They were treating this like a tactical operation. Maya, what did the lab find in those bike compartments? Preliminary results just came in. Traces of pharmaceutical-grade chemicals, the kind used in specialized drug manufacturing. The pieces clicked into place. They're not just distributing drugs, Olivia realized. They're testing something new. Maple Grove is their proving ground. Movement at the cafe's rear entrance caught her attention. 2 Red Serpents members were approaching with industrial cutting tools. Not here for intimidation this time. They meant to breach. All teams in position. Ghost's voice carried through Olivia's directional microphones. No witnesses tonight, Kane added. We do this clean and quiet. Remember, the cafe owner is mine. Send the message, then torch it all. Olivia keyed her radio. Maya, hold your people back until my signal, no matter what you hear. The first cutting torch sparked to life, attacking the cafe's reinforced rear door. Olivia moved silently through, her prepared kill house, activating systems that had nothing to do with serving coffee. The breach came simultaneously from 3 points. Professional coordination. Red Serpents members poured in, expecting to overwhelm a simple cafe owner. Instead, they found themselves in a carefully crafted maze of death. Industrial lights strobed chaotically, disorienting enhanced night vision gear. Commercial-grade smoke. Machines filled the space with thick fog, while Olivia's custom speaker system disoriented with subsonic pulses. She'd turned her cafe into a tactical nightmare. Contact! Someone shouted, firing at shadows. Olivia moved like a ghost through her domain, using her intimate knowledge of the layout to devastating effect. Years of special forces experience combined with home field advantage. 3 Red Serpents members went down in the first 30 seconds, not dead but efficiently disabled. Olivia's modified kitchen tools became weapons in practiced hands. A rolling pin here, a pressurized cream dispenser there, each movement calculated. It's a trap! Razor's voice carried over the chaos. Fall back! And then an explosion rocked. The night, not from Olivia's cafe but from across town, then another and another. Multiple explosions reported. Maya's voice crackled through Olivia's earpiece. Red Serpents bar, Olivia confirmed. They're storage facilities. They're destroying evidence. Through the smoke and chaos, Olivia spotted Kane moving with purpose toward the cafe's office. Not attacking, not participating in the firefight. He was after something specific. Maya, the explosions. They're destroying their manufacturing labs. But they'd need to move their product first, check traffic cameras for their transport routes. Olivia moved to intercept Kane, but Ghost appeared through the smoke, wielding military-grade weapons. The fight was brief, brutal, and technically illegal in 3 states. Ghost was good, Special Forces good, but Olivia had spent 15 years preparing for exactly this kind of close-quarters combat. "Stay down," Olivia advised the unconscious enforcer, securing him with zip ties. In the office, Kane was accessing Olivia's computer systems, downloading files. Olivia's appearance in the doorway made him freeze. "Figured it out yet?" Kane asked, still typing. "What we're really doing here?" "Testing grounds for something new. Maple Grove is perfect. Isolated, controlled access, corrupt local law enforcement. You're not just cooking meth or running heroin. You're pioneering something." Kane smiled coldly. "Close. We're not just pioneering, we're revolutionizing. Our chemists have created something unique, highly addictive, nearly impossible to trace. The overdose cases, testing different formulas, studying effects. Maple Grove is just the first step. And the protection racket? Distribution network. Once we perfect the formula, we'll have a delivery system already in place. Every business under our protection becomes a distribution point. By the time anyone realizes what's happening, it'll be too late." Olivia moved closer, noting Kane's hand moving toward a concealed weapon. "Why tell me this? Because you're already dead. This whole place is wired to burn in 10 minutes. There won't be any evidence left. Just another tragic accident. Local cafe owner dies in fire. Should have paid for protection." 10 minutes. Olivia allowed herself a small smile. "That's about 9 minutes longer than I need." The fight that followed would be talked about in whispered tones around Maple Grove for years. Kane was military trained, experienced in close-quarters combat, but Olivia had spent 2 decades perfecting the art of taking down exactly this kind of operation. Coffee machines became weapons, shadows became allies, the office transformed into an arena where 2 professionals demonstrated exactly why they were considered deadly in their former careers. Federal agents just intercepted 3 Red Serpents transport vehicles. Maya's voice crackled through Olivia's earpiece. "They're loaded with lab equipment and chemical supplies." Kane, hearing this, laughed through bloodied lips. "Doesn't matter. Can't stop what's coming. We're not just some gang. We're backed by people you can't touch. Corporate money, political connections." "That's why you're destroying everything," Olivia realized, maintaining her combat stance. "Protecting your real backers. Maple Grove was just the test run. We've got operations setting up in 12 other towns," Kane spat. "You can't stop." The rest was lost as the first explosive charge detonated, starting the cafe's planned destruction. Kane used the distraction to break free, running into the smoke-filled main area. "Maya, move in now. Full breach." State police tactical units swarmed the building as the fire spread. Red Serpents members found themselves caught between Olivia's traps and professionally executed law enforcement containment. Through the chaos, Kane disappeared, but not before Olivia placed a tracker on him during their fight. Some habits from Special Forces you never lost. As the cafe burned, Olivia watched from outside. The physical building might be destroyed, but she'd accomplished what she needed. Red Serpents' operation was exposed, their test program disrupted. Her phone buzzed one last time that night. An unknown number. "You have no idea what you've started. This goes higher than you can imagine." Olivia smiled slightly, watching her. Cafe burn, while federal agents processed captured Red Serpents members. They thought destroying her business would be the end. Instead, it was just the beginning of a war that would expose corruption at the highest levels of Maple Grove and beyond. Dawn painted Maple Grove in shades of grey smoke as firefighters contained the last embers of Olivia's cafe. Federal agents swarmed the scene, processing evidence and detained Red Serpents members, but Olivia's attention was on her phone, watching the tracker she'd planted on Kane. Targets heading north on Highway 23, Maya reported, coordinating with state police. 3 vehicles in convoy, heavy escort. Let him run, Olivia replied, studying building blueprints on her tablet. He'll lead us to something bigger. James arrived from his hospital shift, still in scrubs. His face showed the strain of dealing with the overdose crisis. Lab results came back on the latest victims. The chemical composition keeps changing. They're refining something. Olivia showed him Kane's downloaded files, technical documents, chemical formulas, trial results. They're weaponizing addiction, creating designer drugs that can be mass-produced and distributed through legitimate businesses. Like a protection racket that's actually a delivery network, Maya added, joining them. But here's what doesn't make sense. The investment level, the equipment we seized, the lab setup, the personnel. This is corporate-grade operation, way beyond a motorcycle gang's resources. Olivia's secure phone buzzed, a message from her old Special Forces contact in the FBI. You were right. Red Serpents' finances trace back to shell companies. Big money behind this. Watch your back. Ms. Mitchell. Emma's voice cut through the morning air. The barista ran up, clutching her phone. You need to see this. The local news feed showed chaos across Maple Grove. Multiple businesses that had refused Red Serpents' protection were finding their customers mysteriously ill. The hospital was overwhelmed. They're triggering a crisis, Olivia realized, forcing the town to depend on their protection. That's not all. Emma swiped through her phone. Social media is blowing up. Other towns reporting similar patterns. Red Serpents aren't just here, they're everywhere. Olivia's radio crackled. Multiple jurisdictions reporting Red Serpents' activity, Maya reported, like they're not even trying to hide anymore. Because they don't need to. Olivia studied the pattern. Maple Grove was their test run. Now they're going wide with the operation. A sleek black SUV pulled up and a man in an expensive suit emerged. Ms. Mitchell, Marcus Rivers, DEA Special. Operations, we need to talk. Inside a makeshift command center, Rivers spread out surveillance photos showing Kane meeting with corporate executives, politicians, even foreign businessmen. Red Serpents are just the muscle, Rivers explained. They're working for a consortium of pharmaceutical companies and private military contractors, creating a new market for designer drugs that can be legally manufactured and distributed, using motorcycle gangs as cover. Olivia noted the strategy. Smart, keep it looking street level while building corporate infrastructure. We've been tracking them for months, Rivers continued. But Maple Grove, you forced their hand, made them sloppy. He studied Olivia. Your Special Forces reputation was impressive. How'd you like to help us take down their entire operation? Before Olivia could answer, her phone buzzed with a message from Kane. Should have stayed a simple cafe owner. Now you've got their attention. Hope you're ready for what comes next. Surveillance feeds showed Red Serpents members regrouping at locations across 3 states, not retreating, repositioning like pieces on a chessboard. They're not running, Maya observed. They're preparing for something. James's phone lit up with more hospital alerts. The mysterious illnesses were spreading, creating panic. People were demanding protection, demanding someone take control. Classic destabilization tactic, Olivia recognized the pattern. Create a crisis, then offer the solution. They're not just selling drugs, they're selling control. Emma, who'd been quietly monitoring social media, spoke up. Ms. Mitchell, look at this. People are fighting back. Your stand at the cafe, it's inspiring others. Other towns are organizing against Red Serpents. Rivers nodded. That's why we need you. This isn't just about one town anymore. They're trying to establish a new kind of criminal empire, corporate-backed, legally ambiguous, hiding behind legitimate businesses. Olivia studied the evidence, the patterns emerging. Red Serpents had chosen Maple Grove, thinking it would be an easy target. Instead, they'd given her exactly what she needed, a chance to expose something much bigger. I'll help, Olivia decided. But we do this my way. No official channels, no paperwork. They've got too many connections, too many bought officials. What's your play? Maya asked. They want to use legitimate businesses as cover. Fine, let's use that against them. Every cafe owner, every shop owner, every small business they tried to intimidate, turn them into assets, a network to fight their network. Rivers caught on, using their own tactics against them. Olivia's phone buzzed again, an encrypted message from her FBI contact. Corporate board meeting tonight. All major players present, sending coordinates. First, Olivia turned to Emma. I need you to reach out to every business owner who stood up to Red Serpents. Tell them it's time to fight back, not with violence, with information. Every delivery, every suspicious customer, every unusual payment. We build our own intelligence network. Already on it, Emma grinned, fingers flying over her phone. People are ready. They just needed someone to show them it's possible. I'll coordinate with other hospitals, James added. Track their distribution patterns through overdose cases. And I'll work my police contacts, Maya offered. Not everyone's corrupt. Some are just waiting for a chance to do the right thing. Rivers watched this impromptu resistance forming with approval. You're really doing this? Taking on a corporate-backed criminal empire with a bunch of small-town business owners? They thought they could control Maple Grove through fear and corruption, Olivia replied, already planning her next move. Time to show them what happens when people stop being afraid and start working together. Her phone lit up with one final message from Kane himself. You have no idea what's coming. Maple Grove was just the beginning. Hope you're ready for war. Olivia smiled slightly, watching Emma coordinate with other business owners, seeing James, organize medical data, observing Maya build a network of trusted law enforcement. No, Kane, she murmured. You have no idea what's coming. You thought destroying my cafe would silence me. Instead, you just helped create exactly what Maple Grove needed, a reason to fight back. Around her, the makeshift command center hummed, with activity as ordinary citizens began organizing against an extraordinary threat. The war for Maple Grove was about to become something much bigger, and Red Serpents were about to learn why targeting a former Special Forces commander's cafe was their biggest mistake yet. The corporate boardroom towered 40 stories above the city, all glass, steel, and power. Through high-powered surveillance equipment, Olivia watched Red Serpents' real masters gathering for their emergency meeting. 12 targets confirmed, Maya reported from their mobile command post. CEOs from 3 pharmaceutical companies, private military contractors, even a state senator. They're spooked. Maple Grove was supposed to be their proof of concept, Rivers added, monitoring communications. Now, they're scrambling to contain the damage. Olivia studied the security layout. Unlike her cafe, this wasn't a battlefield she could control. Professional guards, electronic surveillance, biometric locks, serious corporate security. Update from Emma, James's voice came through the comm. Our business network tracked unusual deliveries to 4 new locations. They're trying to set up alternate manufacturing sites. Not trying, Olivia corrected. Succeeding. This meeting isn't about damage control, it's about acceleration. They're going to flood the market, create a crisis too big to contain. Through their surveillance, They watched Kane enter the building, escorted directly to the top floor. The motorcycle gang leader looked out of place among the suits and ties, but his presence was telling. They're keeping their street muscle close, Maya noted, even here. Because they're scared, Olivia explained, not of us, of their own people. Corporate empires are built on loyalty to profit, but Red Serpents are loyal to Kane. If he turns on them... A new voice cut through their comms. Ms. Mitchell, impressive operation you've got here. Olivia recognized the voice from news broadcasts. Charles Whitmore, CEO of PharmaCorp Industries, one of the largest pharmaceutical companies in the country. Didn't know corporate executives handled their own security communications, Olivia replied calmly, signaling Maya to trace the intrusion. Let's be direct, Whitmore continued. You're interfering with something far beyond a simple motorcycle gang. We're creating a controlled distribution network for the next generation of therapeutic chemicals. Progress requires field testing. Using innocent people as lab rats. Using willing participants in a groundbreaking medical trial. The addiction aspects are regrettable but necessary. Think bigger, Ms. Mitchell. This isn't about drugs. It's about control. Medical, social, financial. Olivia muted her comm signals, bouncing through satellites impossible to trace. What's your offer? Olivia kept Whitmore talking. Smart woman. We could use someone with your skills. Your special forces record is impressive. How does 8? Figures sound, plus full medical coverage for that brother of yours. Hospitals are such dangerous places these days. The threat was subtle but clear. Olivia thought of James working his hospital shift, exposed and vulnerable. If anything happens to my brother, just business, Ms. Mitchell, like what's about to happen at Maple Grove General Hospital. Tragic how many medication errors occur during emergency situations. Olivia's blood ran cold. James was working the emergency room tonight, dealing with another wave of Red Serpents test subjects. Maya was already moving, strike teams redirecting to the hospital. But Whitmore wasn't finished. And young Emma, such a promising barista, would be a shame if her family's small business lost those government contracts. Hard to afford college without steady income. Through their surveillance, Olivia watched more corporate players entering the boardroom. All that power, all that money focused on turning Maple Grove into their private laboratory. Last chance, Ms. Mitchell. Walk away. Generous compensation, full protection, or watch everything you care about burn. Olivia's response was to trigger the first phase of her real operation. Across the city, carefully planted evidence began uploading to law enforcement agencies, media outlets, and regulatory bodies. Financial records, chemical formulas, test data, everything they'd gathered about Red Serpents' corporate masters. What did you do? Whitmore's voice turned sharp. The thing about special forces operators, Olivia replied calmly, is we understand systems, how they work, how they fail, and most importantly, how to take them apart. Alarms began blaring in the corporate tower as their security systems detected the information breach. Guards rushed to protect the boardroom, but they were looking for physical threats, not digital ones. You have no idea what you've just started, Whitmore snarled. Wrong. I know exactly what I've started. Check your stock prices. Financial alerts flashed across their monitors as trading algorithms detected the scandal brewing. Share prices began, plummeting as evidence of corporate corruption hit the markets. Olivia? Hospital status? Maya called out. Security teams in place. James is safe. They tried something, but we were ready. 2 Red Serpents members in custody. Through their surveillance, they watched the corporate boardroom erupt into chaos as executives realized their exposure. Kane stood apart, watching his supposed masters. Unravel. This isn't over. Whitmore's voice had lost its corporate smoothness, revealing something harder. You think you can fight us with information? We own the media, the courts, the regulators. Maybe, Olivia agreed, but you made a crucial mistake. You thought Maple Grove was weak because it was small. Instead, you gave us something more powerful than corporate money. And what's that? A community that's not afraid anymore. Check your phone. Across Maple Grove and neighboring towns, business owners were going public with evidence of Red Serpents' operation. Not just local shops, suppliers, distributors, transport companies. The entire network they tried to build through intimidation was turning against them. Impossible, Whitmore breathed. The protection contracts were signed under duress, legally void. Sir, a panicked voice interrupted their call. FDA agents just entered the building. They have warrants. Olivia allowed herself a small smile. Like I said, we understand systems, including legal ones. The corporate boardroom devolved into pandemonium as federal agents breached their secured floor. But through the chaos, Olivia watched Kane slip away, not running but moving with purpose. Let him go, Rivers advised. We've got bigger fish. No, Olivia countered. Kane's not running from arrest. He's executing a contingency plan. An explosion rocked the city's industrial district. Then another. Multiple fires reported at chemical storage facilities, Maya confirmed. James added urgently, hospital getting swamped with new cases. This isn't random. They're creating a mass exposure event. Through their surveillance, they watched Whitmore being led away in handcuffs, still somehow maintaining his corporate demeanor. But his last words over their compromised comms were chilling. You wanted a war, Ms. Mitchell? Welcome to corporate warfare. Olivia raced through the chaos-stricken streets of Maple Grove, following the tracker she'd planted on Kane. Explosions echoed in the distance as Red Serpents' contingency plan unfolded, a scorched earth campaign designed to cover their tracks and leave the town reeling. Kane's heading for the old rail yard, Maya reported over comms. Makes sense, isolated, easy access to transport routes. He's not running, Olivia replied, weaving through traffic on her motorcycle. He's regrouping. Whitmore and the corporate players were just one layer of this operation. At the hospital, James coordinated triage for the sudden influx of patients exposed to Red Serpents' engineered drugs. It's a nightmare here, he reported, but we're holding the line. Emma's network is helping identify contaminated areas. Rivers chimed in from the federal command post. National Guard units are deploying to secure critical infrastructure, but Maple Grove is ground zero. We need to contain the spread here. Olivia understood the stakes. Red Serpents had turned her hometown into a testing ground for something far more sinister than a protection racket. The corporate conspiracy was just the beginning. Kane's real play was always about control through engineered addiction. She reached the rail yard just as 3 black vans arrived, disgorging heavily armed Red Serpents members. Kane emerged from the central van, barking orders. "Load the tankers!" he shouted. "We've got 6 other towns ready for Phase 2. Olivia realized with cold clarity what was happening. The chemical explosions, the mass exposure event. It was all cover for moving their real product. Maple Grove was just the proof of concept. Red Serpents were about to unleash their engineered drugs on a regional scale. She revved her motorcycle, drawing their attention. "Kane, it's over! Stand down!" The Red Serpents leader laughed. "Over? This is just the beginning. Maple Grove was always expendable, a test run to perfect our product. Now the real operation begins." Around them, Red Serpents members took up firing positions, assault rifles trained on Olivia. She noted their formation, their lines of fire, professional tactics. "You can't stop what's coming," Kane taunted. "Our product is already seeded in 6 states. Political backing, law enforcement support, distribution networks. By the time anyone realizes what's happening, we'll be too big to touch." Olivia dismounted, her bike hands steady. "You still don't get it, Kane. This was never about my cafe. It's about my town, my people." "Your People, Kane scoffed. Bunch of small-town nobodies too scared to fight back. Wrong! Olivia's voice carried across the rail yard. Maple Grove is fighting back, and we're not alone. On cue, a convoy of vehicles roared into the yard, not police or federal agents, but ordinary citizens. Business owners, teachers, factory workers, led by Emma and the network of defiance Olivia had helped build. They came armed, not with guns, but with something far more powerful: knowledge. Evidence of Red Serpents' operation, meticulously gathered and distributed through grassroots intelligence. Kane snarled orders to open fire, but his men hesitated. They were soldiers, not murderers ready to gun down unarmed civilians. Olivia pressed the advantage. Your corporate masters are finished, your political protection exposed. It's over, Kane. But the Red Serpents leader wasn't done. Over? I'll show you over. He lunged for the nearest tanker truck, recklessly opening the valve. The engineered drug began spewing out, forming a toxic cloud. If I can't have Maple Grove, Kane screamed, then no one can. Olivia moved on instinct, years of training taking over. She leaped for the valve, wrestling Kane away as the chemical fog enveloped them. The fight was brutal, two trained warriors grappling amidst the toxic mist. Olivia felt the drug burning her lungs, clouding her mind, but she pushed through. This wasn't just about stopping Kane. It was about proving that Maple Grove's spirit couldn't be broken, that ordinary people, united in defiance, could stand against extraordinary threats. With a final, desperate effort, Olivia wrenched the tanker valve shut, cutting off the flow of poison. Kane slumped to the ground, succumbing to his own engineered drug. Around them, Red Serpents members laid down their arms, surrendering to the force of a community that refused to be intimidated. Olivia staggered back, vision blurring from the toxic exposure. She heard Emma's voice, felt hands supporting her. We got you, Miss Mitchell, we got you. In the aftermath, federal agents secured the rail yard, seizing evidence and rounding up Red Serpent stragglers. Hazmat teams contained the chemical spill. While medical personnel treated the exposed, Olivia sat on the back of an ambulance, oxygen mask helping clear her lungs. Maya approached, a smile on her weary face. You did it. Took down a corporate conspiracy, exposed corruption at the highest levels. Not bad for a cafe owner. Olivia shook her head. I didn't do it. Maple Grove did. We all did. In the coming days, the true scope of Red Serpent's operation came to light. A staggering web of corruption and greed that had nearly turned Maple Grove into a sacrifice zone for engineered addiction. But the town fought back, and in doing so lit a spark that spread far beyond its borders. Other communities, inspired by Maple Grove's defiance, began rooting out the tendrils of Red Serpent's influence. It wouldn't be easy. The rot ran deep, and the powerful rarely surrendered willingly. But Maple Grove had shown what was possible when ordinary people refused to be afraid. For Olivia, the fight was far from over. There would be more battles to come, more shadows to illuminate. But for now, she allowed herself a moment of pride as she watched her town begin to heal. The cafe where it all began would be rebuilt, its scars worn as badges of resilience. And Olivia would be there, serving coffee and watching over her community, always ready for the next fight. Because Maple Grove had learned the hard way, sometimes the most powerful defense is a town that stands together, and a cafe owner who never stops fighting for what matters. Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed this story, please consider subscribing to my channel for more thrilling tales. Your support means a lot and helps me keep creating new content. Click that subscribe button and stay tuned for the next gripping installment.